Thank you. Thank you, Shaharia. Please.
Okay. First of all, can you hear me clearly?
Yes.
Yes, we can.
Okay. Also, you can see my screen, right, as well? The slides.
Yeah.
Okay. Perfect. Okay. So, good afternoon, everyone. Thanks for having me. And my name is Shaharia. I'm working in a food tech company in Berlin, Hellofresh. I don't know if any of you are aware of Hellofresh. So basically, Hellofresh is like working on a mission to change how we eat for forever. And basically, my title there is Senior Software Engineers, which sounds very serious. But what I really do is helping 1,000 plus engineers to be more productive for their day-to-day work and making their life better and faster. That means over the time, I have become the AI guy in the company. And it's a bit like being the person who first brought a calculator to a math class, right? So at first, people are very skeptical and they are very curious, and pretty soon they can't imagine working without it. And of course, I'm talking about the GenAI and how we are adapting GenAI for all of our steps from ideation to production. And I am here today to talk about these new AI tools that are just not a developer's toy, but a massive game changer for the entire innovation process you are learning about in this course. So we're going to connect the theory you have seen in your slides to the practical, sometimes chaotic reality of building products is in a big company. So I will share my experience and I will try to relate that with your lecture module as well. So I saw this in your course materials that was shared with me probably 2 days ago, and I was just going through the course material and reading and some of it and trying to relate this with our like practical day to day life, how we do that. So it was really amazing to see that the course materials, everything there, the steps I can relate with what we are doing every day, daily basis, even in HelloFresh. So let's start from the design thinking process. It's the proven roadmap for innovations, right? Fortunately we have the same topics in our HelloFresh that we do every month. The design thinking process where different teams comes and share their design thinking process and planning, like what kinds of processes working, what kinds of processes not working. And the today's presentation title I kept the same, the design thinking process, so I can bring the similar experience and share that with you. So the journey from empathize to a prototype, you can actually test like previously how it used to work. So when we start from the empathize, then we try to understand the user's problem and what we traditionally used to do, doing bunch of user interviews, many paperworks, many research. And then in the end we understand, okay, we have a customer persona and we have a problem that we need to solve. What if we could shrink that timeline, right? So what if we could go from an idea to a testable prototype in a couple of hours? And that is really possible. Every day we are doing this, even in our company. And today I will share like, okay, what are the steps and the process we are taking, and it's being helpful. And I will also relate this every topic with your course module as well. So let's start from the beginning. Empathy, understanding the user. That's the basic and fundamental requirements to think about developing any product. Even if we think about um, introducing a new features for existing product, even we start from this whole flow, that we need to understand our users, and we also need to understand their problem, and then from there we create PRD and we move on to the next steps. So your course materials also talk about knowing your key stakeholders. Traditionally, this is the hardest work, actually. And I'm an engineer, so I can tell that most of this empathize part, like it's a product part, product people they do that, and probably when everything is ready, then the engineers come to the picture. Then we discuss, okay, this is the prototype, this is the idea, and this is the user problem we are going to solve, and how we are going to solve this how part. Engineers should own this how part. So let's take a practical example from my work. Imagine Hellofresh wants to create a new features for families with picky eaters. The old way, how we would do that, we would spend weeks running surveys and interviews that I was talking earlier. And what we can do now, we can use tools like ChatGPT, Gemini, or there are like many tools available nowadays, which can do this simple work with just a simple prompt. That means with a prompt like this, like I literally tried this prompt yesterday just before preparing the slides, and I was trying to design the journey, and I tested this prompt and then prototype and every steps by myself, and then bring this to the slides. So I wanted to relate the entire journey. So you can see that there is a prompt, and with this prompt I get the results within a couple of seconds, right? So for example, act as a user researcher based on publicly available data about millennial parents in Finland. Create a detailed user persona for a busy working mother of two young children, age 4 and 7, who are picky eaters. Include her goals, frustrations, and daily routine related to meal planning. And then this is not just a like with a prompt like this is not just a generic descriptions. It's a detailed story. It gives us Hannah's frustrations, and if you see the output, it's amazing, right? That gives us Hannah's frustrations. She dreads the 5 p.m. what's for dinner, and her goals. She wants a healthy, peaceful meal every peaceful meal time without a fight. And this is not a replacement for real user interviews, of course, but it's an incredible starting point, because every time when you talk about the idea and the persona, like we need to go through the blank page syndrome, right? Like we don't have anything in front of us where to start. And this, with this GenAI, with a simple prompt that can actually drive us to just get started quickly. So I want to ask, I want to basically know that how many of you have used GenAI to brainstorm of a project or an essay? Can I see some hands? Okay, I cannot see the screen or the audience. So I'm sure you all can hear me, right?
Yeah, sorry. Did you ask? Yeah.
Yeah, so I was asking, like, I just wanted to understand the audience that how many of you have used GenAI for brainstorming for projects or something.
So we have 3, 4, 5, 6, 7.
Good. Okay, very good. That's the interesting number. Okay, so let's go to the next step then.
So should we tell what we have done there?
Yes, we will go there after a
Okay.
bit. I will try to like pause for a couple of minutes, then we'll ask questions and also we can discuss.
Yeah, okay.
So the first steps that define the crafting the perfect problem statement. This problem statement we call as a fast P. P, that means the problem statement, and we call in our company, not in just in our company but in many places, it's just the fast P. your first P would define your success of the entire product, and that is the customer problem statement. The what is the problem? So from the previous prompt, now we have our persona, Hannah, right? Now we need to define her problem. I saw your course slides call this is the problem definition, and this is critical, very, very critical. A poorly defined problems leads to a useless solutions, and that's why this is very, very important to identify the customer problem. And definitely we can use GenAI as a brainstorming partner. Definitely we feed it our persona and ask it to generate a problem statement, and how we can do that. So this is a prompt that I also tried by myself yesterday for the slide, that based on the persona of Hannah, generate 5 how might we statements that address her core frustrations with feeding her picky eaters children. So this is just a simple prompt. I was using Google Gemini, and it gives us some very interesting answers. Sorry. So first, how might we make field planning a fun, collaborative actively for Hannah and her kids? And then another option was introduce new foods to the kids in a low pressure way. Then the third one, reduce Hannah's decisions fatigue around dinner time. So these are the problem statement. We got this from Gemini within a couple of seconds. So look at instead of one problem, now we have 5 different angles, right? So number 3 is very, very interesting. Reduce decision fatigue. The problem is not just the picky eaters, but it's the mental exertion of the parent. So GenAI helped us uncover a deeper, more emotional problem to solve. This is a goal. This is gold for emotion, for innovation. Like if you can connect with your problem statement to a customer's emotion, like emotionally, you can make a connections with your problem and the customers. That is really, really gold for innovation. So before we move on to building things, because next step I would go more and more deep to even build a prototype out of this prompt. If you have any questions, then please feel free to ask me at this point. Okay, I'm taking silence as a no. So let's move on. Okay, so now the idea, this is where things get really, really fun. Like we have our problem statement and we know we have our persona, Hannah. And how might we reduce Hannah's decisions fatigue? This is the problem statement we got already. And now we need ideas, lots of them basically. So in a corporate settings, this is usually a like 2 hours meeting, multiple times of meeting with the different stakeholders, with whiteboard that ends with like 3.5 okay ideas. With GenAI, you have an like infinite brainstorming partner that never gets tired of says that's a silly idea. So you can ask like wild ideas, gamified ideas, simple ideas, and just keeps going. As many as you want, you can just have it. So now from your course material, I see that there was a great slide that shows the progression, like the wireframing, the basic structure, like mock-up and prototyping, right? So this used to be a linear multi-day process involving like different tools and peoples. A designer would wireframe, then create a high fidelity mockup, and then maybe a developer would code a simple prototype. But in reality, like it sounds very simple and fun in the classroom, but in like in the company like us, it's not so fun. Like this, like idea to reality instantly, it's a dream, and we cannot do that. We never did that. So I'm working at Hellofresh last 4 years, and I never see that. Okay, how quickly we can do this prototyping, because as your company grows, there are more bureaucracy. Like you need to maintain bunch of documents you need to organize, bunch of meetings with different stakeholders, and bring everyone to a yes thumbs up point. It really takes couple of days and even couple of weeks. So that's why like we do quarterly planning, yearly planning, and then we do rest of the year just to build things. So it's very chaotic in reality, in reality that I know, and even in my previous company I saw the same situations. So GenAI has completely shattered this timeline. Right now, we can go from just a text description straight to the mockup, like even instantly. Even sometimes, I experienced that even in my company that where we started doing a mobbing with the product people, with different stakeholders, and someone already is doing prompting in AI tools and generating the mockup designing, and they are presenting this in that meeting. So it's just the meeting is just for a couple of minutes, like 30 minutes or 45 or 5 minutes minutes meeting, and they're already sharing this prototype with them and see like, hey, how do you feel like this design? Do you think this is okay, or do you think that we can just build some prototype out of this? So instantly we can make a decision like, yeah, it looks very cool, yeah, we can share this, or we can build something with that. So without Gen AI, it will never be possible. So this is the magic trick, right? I rate a detailed descriptions of what I want to see, like all this persona of a Hannah, the problem statement, and then we created bunch of ideas, right, for the prototyping. And now we wanted to validate that prototype, like, okay, how it really looks like. So I write a detailed description about what I want to see, and a few seconds later I get this basically. And this really look nice. It's just a one try, a single prompt, and it gives me the prototype. So let's imagine that you are having a discussions with your teams, and you all are talking about the prototyping, like a design, what it would look like, how we can connect the UI with the persona. And imagine that someone from your team just created this prototype and showing you that, okay, this is a good start, this is what I just built, what do you think about this? This will immediately help everyone to like shape their ideas, and like you can like create a consensus very quickly around that. And this all can take just 5 minutes or even less if you have the prompt, if you have the problem statement. Then to create this prototype nowadays, it's a couple of minutes work. So this is not just a wireframe. This looks like a very high fidelity design, right? Design concept. We get that. Think about the power of this. So we can generate 5 different visual in 10 minutes or even less, and show them to our persona, Hannah, to get the feedback. So we haven't written a single line of code yet, or open Figma or any design tool to do this, all this brainstorming. It's just a bunch of text, and we have this. And if we ask like generate 10 different interface mockup, it would do that within a minute. So, but we are already testing the visual appeal to our solutions already, right, with the prompt, and this is all because of the GenAI. Now we had this prototype, we created one UI mockup, high fidelity design. Then what's next? The next would be from prompt to code. And that's the interesting point, and where engineers basically can give their input. So in my company, what I am experiencing and what our policy is now, that the product designers, like the product managers, they design this wireframing and designing everything with AI. And when they bring that to engineers, they just bring this prompt and just a screenshot of the design, and rest of the things engineering team, They understand what our product wants to build, and it's very easy to build that, right? So from a prompt just to code. So in the previous slide, we saw this design, and in the next, just 2 lines of prompt, we created this UI. It's a good starting point. I'm not talking that this is the 100% correct and the world's best design, but this can give us a very good starting point that, okay, how our end product might look like, right? At least we can bring this to Hannah, to our persona, and ask for their feedback. So we give a simple prompt to a code generation tools, and it spits out the HTML, CSS, and like the JavaScript to build these components. Now, as an engineer, yes, I told you already, I have to be very honest that the code it generated is not always perfect. And we sometimes it's a bit like excessive creative that we don't need that, or probably we don't want that. But you still need a human to review it all the time. Like human in the loop should be there. Without human, it is not there yet. And we still like the human is needed to clean it up and connect it to the real backend service, right? So, but it gives you like 70-80% of the way there in seconds. That's the important part. Like you can create like 10 different version of it and make a decisions that which one can look better. So it automates the boring and the boilerplate work, of course. So developers can focus on the complex part and the interesting problems. So we have just gone from a vague problem about the picky eaters to a user persona, a clear problem statement, a visual mockup, and a functional front code in about 15 minutes of lecture time. And it took probably just 18 minutes, like while I was presenting this up until this point. Then this is usually the part that blows people's mind, and this is actually changing how we design the product and how we can incorporate GenAI to our entire product development lifecycle. And most of the companies, they are trying to change this. They are trying to change their existing PDLC, I mean, product development lifecycle process, and they need to adopt GenAI in every part of it. So if their ultimate goal is like, okay, how quickly you can build a prototype just from an idea. Any thoughts or question on this rapid prototyping up until this point before moving the next one?
Questions? No, I think it's okay.
Okay, so silence is a no, so I'm moving for the next. All right, so the big question everyone asks nowadays, if AI can design and code, are designers and developers obsolete? No, of course not. The answer is a definitive no. But our roles are changing, definitely. Think of it like you are no longer the violinist playing one instrument, but like you are the conductor, like leading the entire orchestra of the AI tools. So your value is in your test, your vision, and your ability to guide this powerful system to create something beautiful, the end product. The quality of your output depends entirely on the quality of your input, your prompts, and your critical eye, definitely. So imagine that if you have access to 10 different tools that you can use for ideation, for prototyping, for like generating persona, creating problem statement. What else do you need? You can build prototype every day, one prototype every day that can be presentable with the team, and then your team can make a quick decisions that, okay, we have 10 prototype now, which one we should move forward with. and you can easily go to the market and get the feedback from the persona. In our slide, we use the HANA as the persona, right? So yes, I don't want to actually, like, when I decided to come here to present this, I didn't want to paint a picture that, like, okay, everything is perfect, because nothing is perfect. And there are huge challenges, and AI models and AI systems can have biases, the code can have security flaws, and the legal questions are very, very complex, right? And we all are living in Europe, so definitely there are many, many policies. When you need to comply with all of them, things can get very complicated. But this is where the analysis part of your course is very, very important than ever, probably. Being able to critically assess the solutions and its potential impact is a deeply human skill that AI cannot replicate. Of course not, because you can collect the metrics, you can collect the feedback from your real customers, but who decide which one is working best and better? Only you can. The goal is to use AI to build more, so you have more to analyze and test, leading to better final outcomes. So basically, what we do in our real life, that our strategy is to create idea, build a prototype, and going out to market to get the feedback. And how we measure the feedback, we run some tests, and then we automatically collect metrics and get the customer feedbacks, and then we decide, okay, if the prototype is working well or not. But our goal is how quickly you can go to the market. So, like, if you're familiar with Hellofresh, that you would know we have app where you can order recipes weekly basis for your families, and like millions of people are using this. So we are delivering over billions of recipes every year, across like 18 different countries. So what we do is, if any of our team decide to build something, nobody asks you questions why you are going to build that, because the team decided, like, okay, they understand the problem statement and how you validate your problem statement because of the data. Data is very important because this is a established business, not a new business. So we have many data metrics point that you can identify and correlate to identify the problem statement. So that's the easy part, because the company is a very established company, right? So you have many, many data points, so you can automatically knows that, okay, is this Hannah's problem is a real problem. So you can know that. So if you decided that we need to do that, then let's imagine that you would do resource planning for 2. That, okay, we need to build this prototype. Previously it would take a quarter. Trust me, it would take minimum a quarter just to release the simple features that would go. And then the next quarter, we would run that feature. And the third quarter, we get the metrics and then make a decisions like, okay, that feature was successful or that feature was not successful. And with the GenAI, now every team has the freedom. If you have a problem statement and you can relate this with the business goals for the current year, then do a prototyping, release this in the market, identify, like, get some quick metrics, and then after 2 weeks sit down together and understand, okay, these are the success metrics and what the data, like, what are the metrics telling about this features. If it's okay, then invest further time, maintain this, and like make it more reliable features and roll out across all the continent. And without GenAI, it would be too difficult. So probably this would be my last slide. So this, I wanted to like give some suggestions about how to be an AI powered innovator, right? So just to wrap up, the innovation lifecycle is not changing, but the speed limit has been removed. As I told you, like, because of GenAI, none of the process changed, but the time to finish that process definitely, like, reduced a huge amount of like impact there, like the timing. but the process is there because the process is there for a reason, and you cannot directly just eliminate the process, but you need the proper tools that can speed up the process, right? So by using GenAI as a co-pilot, you can spend like less time on manual tasks and more time on what truly matters. And understanding users needs, that's the P1, that's very important, and creating solutions that have a real impact. So our generation is the first to have these tools from the very beginning of your careers, and like being an expert with this and mastering them will be a really superpower. So I hope we will once have some kinds of superpower with GenAI tools. Okay, thank you everyone for listening all these boring slides. Feel free to connect with me. Also, you can connect with me in LinkedIn, and I have this my contact information here. And feel free to reach out to me if you are interested to talk more about GenAI stuff. I'd be very happy to talk. And yeah, if you have any questions, please let's have some Q&A now.
I have a one question, quick question, please.
Yes,
So
please.
this is Sanaul anyway. So, okay, you mentioned that the Gen AI can only be utilized if we are to use the stored data or existing data that was being stored into the online repository or whatever. So me as a solution provider, let's say I'm trying to come up with a solution, and I have some data that is I have collected from the existing servers, and at the same time I have collected data from the users as well. So when I played with the personas, when some people, they acted like they are into that character, they imagine themselves, and they gave me some data. Now I have two kinds of data. So how should I be then combining those data for my solutions? Thank you.
Okay, so there, like in this case, the data you mean the data you collected from some kinds of testing, right? So you have an existing business, existing product, and let's imagine that you collected some data about some of your existing users' behavior. Is that the data type you're talking
Yeah.
about, or
Yeah. So, and also I have some data that maybe I have collected from Kaggle. So,
Okay, so basically they're like, I understand this problem, and then the better solution would be LLM as judge mechanism. So what it does, it either you manually like combine them together,
yeah.
or there is a technique called LLM as judge. So if you want, the LLM would make the decision and do the combine this multiple data sources.
Okay.
Then you need to prepare this data sets, give both of them data sets to different AI systems, get the summary of the data, then create another AI that would work as a judge, and then who would tell you that, okay, is this the combination is correct, efficient or not, or what else we should do and what we missed. But this would be only for fully automated system. But if you go with copilot mode, I think it would be always recommended to do some human evaluation for that.
Okay, right. Okay, so what could be the have you done this kind of things when you
Yeah,
have worked with languages?
so the when you work with like AI system, the main bottlenecks is the context, because your AI will not do anything unless you provide enough context. And enough context, I mean, like it can be your design data, it can be your mock-up, it can be your like internal knowledge base, it can be PRD documents, right? All the decisions notes. if you provide this to the AI, because in the slide you would see that I wrote one simple prompt, right? But if you write the same prompt every time, it will generate different design. How you can make it consistent? In order to make it consistent, it understand your problem statement and all of your internal documentations, and you inject all of them with your prompt to the AI system. So AI would generate the more consistent design. So the problem is how, like in HelloFresh scale, the challenge is how you scale the context. And if I talk from the real situations, so we work the engineering team work with the product designers team. So product design, they are wireframe, they design this in Figma. They sometimes do like a simple wireframe even in Miro, just to understand the concept. And all of these things, how you can access this, how you can access Miro, where you did all the diagram, how you can access the Figma design from Figma. And if you can give that with your prompt, then your AI system can generate the code out of your Figma design. So this is the context, and these are the most challenging factor even in the industry, not only for us, but for us, just scaling is the main challenge.
Thanks very much. Okay, last question from my side, which is, um, so I assume you are using some existing AI tool as a part of your work as well. You don't have to be disclosing all the things because, of course, you are involved with the company. What is okay to share with us, that's fine. And what is not okay to share, that's completely understandable. Are you following this EU AI Act? And based on that, how are you choosing those tools? How can I be sure that which tool is I can trust or what? Yeah.
Okay, so EU AI Act is basically not for everyone. So
Yeah.
in EU AI Act, there is a clause, like there is a term called providers. So that means like if you build the model itself,
Yes.
that is one party, and who is using that model and making the decisions that impact human, that is one party. So even if you use any like tools today, you still can, but you are not building the model itself, right? So let's say you can use Gemini to do some research. Or let me give you one really practical example: recruitment. So in our company, every recruiter use some kinds of AI tools. But if you follow UAI Act, then for certain stage, you should not use AI tools to judge or measure any person's individual, like any individual's capability. That is the violation of Act. You can do anything, but you cannot use AI to screen all the CVs, for example. You cannot write any prompt in a way that you prioritize some demographics over some other demographics, and you cannot use AI in those kinds of situations to make the decisions. And we have some models that we build at HelloFresh. So we, based on your preferences, we give you the recipes, because our recipe models is mostly similar to Netflix. So if you watch Netflix, Netflix knows your watch history, and because Netflix has thousands of over title, right? But you only see what's relevant to you. So we also have that similar capability, and we use our own models. In that own models, the data set we used, EU, like when we follow EU Act policy, then certain data, certain attribute we cannot use to train AI models. So
Okay.
this is like, I can share this with you from my practical experience. And before UEI Act, we could do some kinds of anonymizations, like for example, like I'm an Asian, right? So I love to have Asian cuisine in my recipes. But let's imagine that I just signed up to HelloFresh mobile app, but I didn't purchase anything. How do you know that I love Asian cuisine? You can only knows if you know where I am from, right? So previously you could train with those data, but those are of course anonymized data. But now you cannot even train with that at all. So you cannot train with like, okay, where your user is coming from and show them the recipe. You cannot. So there are many, like EU Act policy is very new and we are still evaluating this, because most importantly, we have many agents in the company. Like we are building, many teams are building different AI agents to do some automations. And it's not clear yet that where this EU AI Act policy can be super relevant. Probably it can be very relevant, probably not, because if you build model AI capability, then you need to follow that. If you use any AI capability and make some decisions that based on AI and that impact human lives, you should not use that. So that's the basic understanding. Of course, like there are many other things down the road for that AI Act policy, but these are the real example that I'm experiencing, and we are also solving this. To be honest, like we are evaluating all of our system for compliant for being compliant with the EU Act policy. Also, the other things that I can share with you about the tooling, um, like I can share like what kinds of tools we use in different stages of the PDLC. So definitely we use like almost like 3 or 4 different tools for product managers who does this like problem statement, market discovery, user interviews, all of these things. We mostly use Gemini. We have some custom AI agents. What AI agents does, like I can give you one example. Like we have one AI agents that checks Reddit. If you talk about anything about HelloFresh in Reddit, it gets that feedback. It understand the positive or negative sentiment out of it. If it's negative sentiment, it like it identify which team should be aware of this feedback from a customer, and it redirect to that team about this, that okay, you received a feedback that is negative, this impact this part of the product, and this feature is impacted. So we have like this is a simple agent, and this agent is built for only for product. So you know that okay, your product is on the market, how it's working, and you can instantly act on the user feedback. And the second example we can give, of course, like from the engineering side. So almost for most of the software development lifecycle, we are using AI now. So we are using copilot mode, and we are also using fully autonomous, because like if we know certain automations that can be done with AI, we can do that. And we also want to empower engineers to work faster. So they don't want to work with fully autonomous system that they don't understand, but they want to use AI tools to learn, and they expect to work with AI tools as a co-assist, not like a full autonomous system is doing something for them. But in some production system, it's like we have many agents. I can tell you like over 100 agents. They are doing some sorts of automation, mostly for internal tools. And I am in the engineering productivity team. So my team is responsible basically to identify that okay, why engineers are spending most of their time and what we can do with GenAI tooling. And we are building like multiple agents to help engineers. Even we organized one hackathon, and there was an idea that so there was an AI agent, some of our team member presented, that calls like the morning coffee. So the morning coffee meaning, like, every day at 9 a.m., your agent would write you a summary of what you did yesterday, what you need to do today, and if you have any documents or meetings where you, like, someone wrote a comment about something that you wrote, you need to reply there, like there's some action points for the day. And it sounds very simple, but it saves every engineers more than 45 minutes of time. I'm sorry, 47 minutes to be precise, every day, with a simple project. It sounds very simple, but it's not that simple, because every employee, like, we have like many different tools that we need to do every day. And this AI agent need to access all of my tools in order to generate the summary and prepare the briefing documents for us. Also, we heavily use Notebook LM, mostly not engineers, but non-tech people. They used Notebook LM so much, and like to digest large information. Notebook LM can be super useful, and especially for like university students and also teachers, any educational institutions. I think Notebook LM is one of the best tools. And secondly, what we use, we have bunch of IDE, like we use Cursor IDE, we have Cloud Code, we have different tools. So there is no limitations about this. So every time a new tools come to the market, we try to evaluate that, and if we think like, okay, it's saving time, X amount of time for our engineers, we can go with the tools. So this is our current approach about like the general AI adoption in the company.
Yeah, thanks very much, Sharia. It was a very briefly described, so and very much informative. So we are very close to our session today. Would you like to ask any questions? I think we are just having a long day today. So the lecture was personally I liked it a lot of how you connected with our lecture. So with the from as a part of the modules, and also gave the practical examples of what you are doing as a part of your daily job. So thanks very much, Arya, again. And so if you want to reach him, you can just always connect him. I know he's quite active in this case. He's always active with the LinkedIn. Just send him a message on the messenger, LinkedIn message, sorry. Yeah. So thanks, Sharia, again. So we are now closing the session. We'd like to give special thanks to you again for your time, and we look forward to see you again.
Thank you. It's nice to meet you, all of you. Have a good day. Bye bye.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Thanks, bye.